Today I'm going to show you guys how to do a boost leak test on these cars. There's a little bit of mystery surrounding it. There's differences based on which year you have, but this is for 13 and this applies to 12 through 14, I'm pretty sure. So, but regardless, let's start with the equipment you're going to need. For starters, you're going to need a boost leak tester. Now this one is a Torque Solutions. This is for diesel trucks, which means it's higher quality. I think I paid like $50 for this without the coupler. And then our turbo inlet is 2 inches, so you need either a 2-inch tester or a coupler like what I'm using, so you can get it onto the turbo inlet. So you put that on there. Also, you're going to need a compressor. This is the one I have. You want a decent one. Crappy ones will struggle to hit the PSI you need. You need to test at least like 22. If you're tuned 25, 27. Fill it to a reasonable amount because it makes the test go a lot faster. Also, I use this tire gauge here. This just shows you the tank pressure and what's in the system, and it connects to this valve stem on that really easily. So you're also going to obviously want to have your intake removed. I mean, unless you have some magic way of doing it otherwise. This line is not an issue. It's just it's a reference line for the intake pressure, or vacuum rather, so you can leave that alone. This line is the one that's going to cause you problems though. This is your evap purge line, and the 12 through 14 cars, especially when the car is off, it's just going to be a constant boost leak, so you have to deal with that. When the car is running, the solenoid's closed, so it's not really a boost leak except when the car wants to purge vapors, which isn't very often. So this line right here is connected to your charge pipe. That's the evap line. That's where it siphons boost to like push the vapors through to your intake to burn them. There's different ways you can cap that off. I just use these. These are hose clamps for radiator, pretty much. I mean, you just stick them on there and it clamps down, and it's a good enough seal where you can do the test. So I've heard some people putting like bolts in there and clamping it or whatever. Whatever works for you. These are, $15, $16, something like that. I think that is it. I'm gonna set this up so that I can show you what it looks like when you actually start this. Okay, so I have my compressor hooked up to my tire gauge setup, which is connected to the boost leak tester, which is on the turbo. I guess I forgot to mention in the first part that, you're going to want to have your car jacked up with the belly pan off, because 9 times out of 10 your leak is going to be down below. Not always, but in my experience, especially if you have the side mounts. If you have a front mount, it's still got to do this every 20,000 miles regardless, because I found other things can leak, like your actuator can leak apparently. I had my blow-off valve was leaking because the O-ring was bad. If you have a forged blow-off valve, that's a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it's just a good idea to do this because these cars suck at telling you that there's a flow issue. So you have to have a massive leak to actually get a P0299. I was driving around with 3 leaks for a long time, and the car felt lazy, but you just get used to it. It happens so slowly because the car is like, hey, I'm not seeing the turbo flow I should, so let me just take all the timing away and give you no power. So you might be hitting the boost you're supposed to hit, but that doesn't mean you don't have a leak. So anyway, let's start filling the system here. So I put 23 pounds in the system. Now what you want to do is you want to listen. You want to listen for where a leak might be. Now, big leaks will be very obvious and very loud, and I'll show you what that's like later, but most of the time they're going to be tiny. Let's see here. I hear something. But it's hard with the garage door being open. I'm gonna have to close that. Boil myself in here. It's obviously not a bad one because it's taking a while to go down, but another thing you probably want to do is open your oil cap. Now, if you forget, like I did, the PCV will vent the pressure slowly, like it's supposed to, but because we have a small leak, it's not that big of a deal. I just don't know where it is. So if you don't know where it is, where's my... Oh, here we go. So you want some soapy water. You just start spraying things with soapy water. Yeah, we have a relatively slow leak down, but it really shouldn't be leaking as fast as it is in my case, so I have to figure out why. I suspect I know why, because this joint here has been giving me problems. But, helps if you just move the pipes around, spray water in the joints. It's kind of unfun, honestly, especially when you're down here. Oh, man. I need to close the garage, too. Melissa, I'll pause this and see if I can find what's going on. Alright, so... if you can get up to a pressure around this and you don't hear anything, you're probably good. In my case, just because I didn't cap this off quite well enough, so it's a slow leak. If you use a bolt and clamp, you're probably better off, but notice how it's fairly silent, nothing's screaming, there's no connections that are crying for help, so... if you cap everything off well enough, it should just sit at the pressure you choose for the most part, but it will leak down eventually, obviously. But this is alright. And I'll show you what it's like when you don't cap this off. This is very loud. The boost leak fix kit's not an issue, but as I said, the solenoid's normally closed for this, so it's not like it's doing that all the time when you're driving around. It's only when the car wants to purge, which is usually on decel or like other weird times we're not really doing anything. So you have 15 up, it doesn't even have that. So yeah, that's about it.